Hi, you're listening to Oh Crap with Jamie. This is a podcast for parents working hard to break the cycles while dropping the F-bomb a lot. I'm your host, Jamie Glowacki, and I am the author of Oh Crap Potty Training and Oh Crap I Have a Toddler. And I am so happy you're here. Hey guys. Welcome. Today I'm very excited. I'm having a conversation with Crystal Popoff. And she is the CEO, owner of Futurepreneur. And she's a passionate advocate for empowering kids and teens to become entrepreneurs. Now, I have a whole bio for her, but we started talking right before recording, and I'm going to jump in and say, Krystal, how did you start this business, and why did you start this business?
Yes, Jamie, first of all, so excited to be here with you today. I've just loved our interaction over the last few days. I was like, this is a real mama, and I love her. And I started following you, and I wish I found you when I had toddlers. But anyway.
Wait, can I just interrupt? Because my
Yes.
audience knows everything. So you guys, I had like the stomach flu or some sort of food poisoning. And I was up Monday night at 7 o'clock. My stomach started rumbling and I was violently I'm not a thrower-upper. I'm a butt, everything. I'm a diarrhea girl. And so that's when I get sick. And oh my God, I was up till 6 o'clock in the morning and it was like violent. I'm sore today. Like I'm still sore from the throwing up. And then the shit started. And I was like, oh my God, I was on the couch. Like it was a nightmare. And I was supposed to interview Krystal yesterday. And I was like, dude, I cannot do this. I was up till 6 in the morning, shitting and puking. So anyway, I feel better now.
I get it. I've had kids through preschool and I got one of those, right? Usually they get it and I don't get it. And then I got one and I was the same way. It was like 6 hours of rushing to the toilet. I was like, my poor kids that are going through this because I haven't done the flu for a really long time, but it is not fun.
I know. All right. So let's get back to you.
Yes. Yeah. But it's good to be here and I'm glad you're feeling better today.
Thank you.
Yeah, Futurepreneur. This is a passion project. I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years. I was in corporate before that, and I have 3 kids. And I have a niece that lives next door to me. Long story, and she's not even a real niece, but I love her like a niece. But she's in college, and I started looking. I was helping her enroll two years ago, and I'm thinking she's got to get these gen eds out of the way. And we're looking at the list of gen eds, and I'm like, none of these are going to really set you up for the future,
right?
Like. And I understand like they're trying to get, maybe some cultural experiences in your first few years, but everything was honestly 60% of the gen eds were religion, sexual orientation, things like this. Right. And I'm like, I believe in cultural experience, but if I'm going to pay for your college,
right.
I want you learning foundations that's going to help you stand on your own 2 feet when you're done. And so I started just diving in research, and I was researching ASU actually. And I'm looking at how many people are graduating that are working in their field, and it's under 40%.
Yeah.
They're getting this expensive degree, paying $100,000, and then they're not even they're bartending. Right, afterwards, because they can't find a job that can actually sustain their cost of living. And I'm like, that we're throwing money into these universities. I want them to come out. Now, there's few exceptions. Jamie, you'd probably agree with me. If you're going to school for being an engineer or an architect or a doctor, like I hope you go to school, right?
Sure. I think there are degrees that are needed, but I think that I think we have to remember that college as a necessity is only 2 generations. My generation, we were expected, and then the next generation, and I'm going to be 57 this year. So like the next generation was like, oh, you have to go. And that's kind of brand new. And I just think that there's not enough, first of all, there's not enough jobs for the academia that colleges produce, right? There's just not enough jobs. And I also think like I use a prime example. I've talked about this on my podcast. One of my son's friends is going to a good college paying $50,000 a year for music. And so he's getting a music degree, which is great, but I talked to him and I said, hey, bud, like, what are you going to do? And he was like, oh, I'm going to be a rock star. And I just kind of laughed. And I was like, well, you need to be out clubbing and like doing more cocaine. That's how you become a rock star, right? I'm not sure that Keith Richards went to college, right? And so, but then he said, well, I'll be a music teacher. And I was like, this is what's going to happen. This kid's going to be $200,000 in debt and he's going to become a music teacher, which is valid. I love music teachers, but he's paying what his ROI isn't going to be effective, and he's going to be paying student loans for the rest of his adult life. And I just don't, I think the biggest thing is that middle middle colleges to good colleges became exorbitant, and it's the only
Mhm.
debt we don't forgive, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
"Ugh, what are we doing to these kids, setting them up?" And I also think that colleges are no different than the school system, which is archaic. We haven't changed a thing. We sit in front of these
Exactly.
computers that are like hold all the information on the world in the world, and we use them to print off multiplication sheets. Like it's
Yep.
just so antiquated.
Yep. I know. I agree 100%. And I mean, yeah, you're right. Just the school system, we could go off on a tangent there for a minute, but so I'm looking at this from my kids are young, so 9, 7, and 4. And then I'm looking at my nieces and a
Yep.
nephew that's in college. And I'm like, when my kids are there, what I was expected to go, and I got an engineering degree, worked in that, so I feel like it was worth it for me to go and get that degree. But if my kids are not set on what they want to do, I'm not
Yes.
throwing them into college.
Yep.
And my niece, I look at her and I'm like, what? She has so much passion in certain areas. And now she's in school studying zero of what her passion is. And I'm an entrepreneur. I turned entrepreneur about 11 years ago. And I'm like, she needs to start a business around her passion.
Yeah.
And I started looking online. There was nothing out there really teaching elementary, middle school, beginning high school, not much of like actually taking them through a business plan. Like think lemonade stand on steroids. And
Right. Right.
so
Right.
someone's got to create it. And I am a serial entrepreneur and I'm like, let's do it. So, anyways, Futurepreneur basically ships business plans. It's a business in a box for kids in all different industries, right? So we
Mhm.
just finished one in the trades, right? For young kids, it's build a dog
Perfect.
house.
Yep.
What's the process of building that dog house? What's the cost of materials? How are you going to make a profit? And to kind of start with the money, the ideas for them to make money, right? And it's so great for kids to earn their own money anyway and
Yep.
start that early and just that creative thinking. And that honestly, the confidence that I can take my passion, I can put a plan to it, I can work out the money and then go after it. And that confidence, if we get that going in school, why not have them start a business instead of paying $100,000 to college? I'd rather pay $100,000 and invest in my kid's business. That's just me.
Yes. I actually am, I homeschooled my son and
Yeah.
we had a homeschooling family friends, and the parents said that they were the first people that I had ever heard say, like, "No, we're saving the money for
Yeah.
college, but they have to prove that they need the college."
Yep.
And I thought that was an interesting take. And they were like, doctor, lawyer, there are definitely certain things that you need that degree for. But if they don't know what they're doing, then they can have that money if they create a business plan.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, that's cool to earmark that money. Um, because yeah, I just think it's such a sink cost right now. And like you said, I do want to speak to like the cultural experience, but we have to remember the cultural experience isn't what it was for probably you and I,
Mhm.
right? When I went to college, there were no cell phones. Long distance was only free
Mhm.
Sundays 9 to 12. So that's the
Mhm.
only time I talked to my parents. Like we have now tethered. There's a lot of people who are saying college is kind of a glorified high school because of cell phones. Like kids are just like, oh, the professor was mean to me. Oh, I didn't do well on my quiz. They're just like constantly on the phone bitching about things. So like you're not really having that college experience of being away from your parents, having roommates, right? Like everybody's sequestered maybe in the dorm, which was really rare. What the dorms were kind of small when I went to college because like nobody could afford it. You got roommates, that was the better option.
Totally.
And you went away. And now college is so expensive. Like who can afford that? Kids are staying closer to home, going, maybe getting their gen eds at the community college. Like you have to kind of patchwork it now. So I still don't think it's the cultural experience that we experienced.
Absolutely. Like I remember going to the payphone, right? To
Yeah,
call
yeah,
my
yeah.
mom.
And there was a
So I had
line.
a pager and
Pager.
and then I did get my cell phone, but I had like 200 minutes, right?
Right.
So super funny, but yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting that cultural experience isn't there. The standing on your own 2 feet isn't there because it's not happening.
Right. Right. Right.
So so we really do need to think this. And Europe, Europe college is free.
Yep.
My husband's whole family's in Austria and Germany, and they're required to do some sort of uh, um, some sort of trade or some sort of working experience, and then they go to college. And this
Oh,
is so smart,
interesting.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And way more like trades or specialty schools there than we have here. We just have these 4-year universities. There are some trade schools. There's some really good ones. There's obviously community college. So I'm not I'm not naive to
Well, the
those.
trades are making a huge comeback, and I know because my son was gonna be an apprentice, to electrician, and they couldn't find anybody for years and years and years, like, say they so the electrical, union will
Yes.
take 40 kids every year and, take them under their wing, get them the apprenticeship, and in past years, they couldn't find 40 kids, and the last 2 years, they had 250 applicants for those 40 positions, so they are
That's great.
making a comeback in that, and I told my son, I was like, "Look, it's okay to not know what you wanna do. Dude, what do we do to 18-year-olds anyway?" I saw this meme on Instagram, and it said, "We make a child go into lifelong debt, deciding what they do wanna do for the rest of their lives when a month ago they had to ask permission to go to the bathroom." Like, when you phrase it like that, you're like, "What are we doing to these kids?" So
So much anxiety so early. I
I
mean,
know, and now you can't fuck around and find out. That's
no.
what I did. I changed my major 8 times. I was in college for 5 years because I kept changing my major because I
Yep.
would get a job in the major and I would be like, "Oh, this isn't for me." But now you can't do that. You have to be like beeline to your end goal because 'cause you're just racking up money.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it's funny you said lemonade stand, and that piqued my interest because I think I wanna talk about ways that we can encourage even younger kids, right?
Yes.
Not teenagers, but
Yep.
younger kids of an entrepreneurial mindset. And I think one of the things, as a homeschooler, I dove into this, but a lemonade stand is a great place to start, right? Like it's not only fun making your money, but if your child is in the like I segment people on my podcast. There's 0 to 6, there's 6
Mhm.
to 12, and then
Mhm.
there's 12 to 18, and it's
Yeah.
Govern Garden Guide. And so, like, if your kids are in that like 6 to 12 zone, like being realistic about the money they put into the lemonade stand, right? Like, well, the Country Time lemonade packets cost you 59 cents or whatever. And, what are you going to charge? But what are some ideas you have to help, like, even at the younger age to promote that mindset?
Yeah. Yeah, and I brought 2. I know those of you listening to audio can't see this, but I brought 2 of kind of our business plans that we send out, our business book plan booklets that we send out with the kids. This is a manufacturing challenge. I have a couple other ones here,
Oh,
builder, but
cool.
we take them through basically the process. So, manufacturing process goes through, idea and design, prototype, testing your prototype, manufacturing, product pricing, selling your product, right? So we take them through the phases of manufacturing.
Okay.
And this one we push kind of slime, like something that we want ingredients, so we have slime or homemade play-doh, things like
Okay.
that. And then how do you make one, how do you test it, how do you put color, how do you make it yours, how do you put color in it, and then how do you batch it out so that you can
Mhm.
sell it and make money on it. So I think for kids, and that's 6 to 12 is our target market. So there are
Okay.
really good startup for, I would say, high teens,
Yep.
that are looking for entrepreneurship. There's a couple great companies that are in that space, but I think starting this early, sometimes when they're already 15, 16, you've already lost them. You've lost them to social media. You've lost them
Mhm.
to, the quick dopamine hit, and I want to make money quick, and I'm not going to be patient. And anything worthwhile takes
Ooh,
patience. So
right.
this is the problem, right? My biggest battle selling Futurepreneur and getting kids to be engaged into an entrepreneurship project or journey, my biggest battle is fighting that quick dopamine, instant gratification that kids
Oh,
have
dude,
right
that's
now.
what we're fighting, like, I feel like for everything, just for everything, right?
Everything, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it
and I
takes
mean, we're
time.
even gamifying school now, right? And I'm like, "Oh,
I just did a podcast. I did a podcast. I'm very pro Minecraft, but my last podcast was like literally we're gamifying like edutech, that we're gamifying everything. Yeah,
and I get it, you're trying to hold the kids'
but we're
attention
producing
span,
less
but we're
attention.
doing a disservice to the kids. So yeah, very interesting.
But this parlays to adults. Like you look at Instagram, people like parenting is a long fucking game.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
a long game and parents are like, "I need this, I need this, I need this." Even like potty training. I get people who message me saying, "It's been 8 hours and this kid is not doing it." And I'm like, "You've been at a developmental milestone for 8 hours and like it's everybody wants the ding 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 immediate gratification."
Yeah, so as a parent, how do we shift this, right? So how do we shift this? And that's just starting a project with them, seeing it through to the end. I mean, our challenges are targeted to be like an 8 hour, right? So,
Mhm.
another one I have here is for kids that really think they want to own a restaurant.
Okay.
So they can start a little pizzeria in their house. And we take them through the planning process. We also talk to them about partnering in business versus having an employee, because you're going to need help running your pizzeria. So are you going to
Mhm.
hire your sibling for $5 an hour, or are you going to partner with your mom and give her a percentage of the profits, right? So we
Mhm.
talk about what the difference is there. And then we help them create their menu and create their decor and really visualize that grand opening. We walk them through a visualization process, and then execution. And so as a parent, getting one of these booklets, we're going to guide you through. We do have video modules of kids
Okay.
walking your kid through it. So if you're a busy mama or a busy dad out there and you're like, I just don't have time to help my kid open a pizzeria this month, we have kids that we make it fun so they can sit and watch the video modules, and it'll walk them through this opening. But it takes about 8 hours between, planning and ordering and then opening the pizzeria in their house, right? So you invite grandma and grandpa and the neighbors, and they each pay $15, and you give them a couple slices of pizza, maybe some salads or mozzarella sticks, and you collect the money and you pay your employees. And it's just a little process. So these are what our challenges are about. They're super fun. Anything from designing your own t-shirt. I mentioned building a dog house. We have starting a dog walking business. So we're thinking like, what are they going to do for the summer to earn money over the summer?
Mhm.
So we're very excited. We just started shipping in January. But keeping your kid engaged through the process, whether they profit or whether they lose money, they're learning the process of seeing something, following through to fruition, the grit of starting a business. They're learning
Yeah.
that at a young age, which people are missing.
Yes.
And then we get to the process. And I want to mention this, and we could talk about this also, but there's so many studies out there that entrepreneurs just generally are happier and have a better well-being than employees, right? This is not across the board. I'm not,
Yes.
but this is in fact a study that I read another study recently that basically studied 100 different countries. So this is not just in the United States, 100 different countries, and this is what they found. So what's more important for me is my kid bringing value to society and them being happy. That's what I want. And
Mhm.
if entrepreneurship does those things, I want my kids learning it more. It's not being taught in school, not saying anything bad about teachers. They have a lot on their plate,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and
Yeah,
they're
I'm
not
never I'm
entrepreneurs.
never dissing school for the teachers
No.
or even the
No.
admin. It's the societal wave that's happening. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But and they're not the teachers aren't entrepreneurs
But
themselves.
I wanna stop
So
you there because you said a really important thing, which is, having my kid be, part of a bigger society, contribute to
mhm,
society
mhm,
and their happiness. And this is a sticky point because happiness is not getting good grades. That's performative, right? Happiness, like when you say happiness, you mean a core happiness. And I think what all these
mhm.
studies point to, particularly, um, like being a cog in a big corporate machine, I think
Yeah,
is really challenging. And I think that's what happened, what the upswing of trades right now is that particularly I feel like boys and men really like to create something.
yes.
They like something like at the end of the day, I did hard work and this is the hard work I did. And
Mhm.
so like I have a friend who is in corporate and she shows me her Zoom meeting schedule and I know she doesn't even have time to breathe.
Oh,
And
no.
but she doesn't like make any there's nothing she can like turn on the computer and say, I did that website or whatever. Like it's like she's just a big cog and she has no meaning in her life. You know what I mean? Like it's and not
This
shockingly,
is
she
all part
she
of the
drinks a lot.
happiness.
Like,
This is where I was. When
yeah.
I left corporate, I was 6 years in. I walked into a meeting. There was 25 people in the room. I'm looking around and I'm like, no one's really happy.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? What I want to be here for another 6 years and maybe be the person speaking, right? I might be a leader in that room, but I'm
Right.
like, they're not even happy. Like, what am I doing here?
Right.
And then I have a friend, this is along the same timeline. I have a friend that started an excavation company and he makes a $500,000 a year
Yeah.
running an excavation company. I don't even know if he graduated high school, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he owns his life.
He
And
owns his
I
life.
knew I knew I had to go entrepreneurship. So
You're
yeah.
like, yeah, and we started to talk briefly about this before we started recording. I really like Mark Manson. He wrote The Subtle Art of Unfucking Yourself, and he's a very prolific blogger, and he has one, I believe it's called Don't Follow Your Passion. But the basis of the whole blog is great because it's like, what shit sandwich do you want to eat? And we all eat a shit sandwich. So as an entrepreneur, yes, if my website goes funky at midnight, I'm up at midnight fixing my website with my
Mhm.
team, right? Like, and I have to deal with the Yahoos on Instagram. I have to, you know what I mean? Like there is a price to pay. But for me, the freedom of my time and schedule, like I am 57 years old. If I had to ask somebody for time off so I
Yeah.
can go on vacation, that seems asinine to me. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And I get it. I get why people are there and do it. But it's, and like my brother looks at me like I am high as a kite because he's like, no, give me my paycheck and I want to leave. I want my paycheck and I want
Yeah.
to go home. And I'm
Not for
like,
everyone.
okay, that's cool. So I know there's like responsibility, but I think it's really good that kids get that there's not just one path. And I feel like so many parents are stuck. This kid that I was telling you, his friend who
Mhm.
goes to a pretty good school for music, the parents are my age still paying student loans. And I'm like, why would you put your kid in the same exact system that is screwing you? Like, I don't,
Mhm.
I don't
I
understand
know.
it. So
What age did you start your entrepreneurship journey?
I started it, let's see, it was 18 years ago. No, Pascal's 19. So I wrote the book in 2009. I owned my own business. I opened a secondhand kids store, and I've always
Okay.
been a performer. So I usually worked for myself and I waited
Yeah.
tables and bartended in between. Then I became a social worker like that, moved to Rhode Island where I didn't like the social work.
Mhm.
And I opened a secondhand kids store. And then potty training came along. I potty trained my son. He potty trained quote unquote young. I became a little famous in my city and started holding classes there. How I became what I am today is completely accidental. My book was a runaway hit. Simon and Schuster bought it. It's like a dream come true, but I just have never played well with others. So, and I never like even sports, like I did circus work and that still was, I was not really part of a team. I did my own act, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, um, but but I couldn't possibly trade my freedom anymore. Like
You're
it's too.
unemployable. I am also.
Oh, no, because I wouldn't listen. I think I have pathological demand avoidance too. So if you tell me not, I can't even describe it. I was just talking to a friend and I was like, here's the best explanation. Like, you couldn't pay me to see Wicked. I'm going to see Wicked in 6 years when everybody's over it. And then nobody's going to want to talk about it because I just automatically resist what everybody else is doing. Like,
Going against the grain. I love it. I love
I
it.
just won't.
But
But
don't
I
you
I
think
wanted
like
to
the
circle
sorry.
back to you on a couple of things
Yeah.
because you said like it builds grit, and that is
Mhm.
absolute. But I love that your programs have video modules with kids because there is nothing like learning from kids who are a step in front of you. I think that is so powerful. So that's super exciting. But I also like when you go through a whole process like this, like what you're describing with your programs,
Mhm.
um, it reminds me of unschooling. So that's a form of homeschooling where you don't
Mhm.
actually sit and do academics, you learn through life. And that's what I did with my son. But this feels like shit. I wish you were around when I was doing that because this feels like a structure. But one of the things is, I feel like when a kid knows the soup to nuts process of, let's say, building the doghouse, you now have respect for all the things that go into that process. And so one thing that's happening is we have some pretty entitled kids who are going to good colleges. It's paid for because we don't want to saddle our kids
100%.
with debt,
Mhm.
right? And then they're coming out and they're having disdain for trades or waiting tables or opening a pizzeria, which will, oh, they have a pizzeria, big freaking deal. Yeah, it is when you start looking at the whole process. And so I love that seems, when I do things like that with Pascal, one of the ways he learned math was showed him the household bills so he could add them up, adding money. And I think he was like in second grade or whenever you do that. And he was like, Mommy, it's expensive. Electricity's expensive. And I was like, yeah, welcome to real life. And so even as a young kid, he was like, shut off the lights. Like he wasn't stressed about it, but he understood what it took to make a household run. And I think that that's like super valuable, but also one of the things I feel like you could learn in your programs is where does your kid shine? Because they may not love the hands-on building of the doghouse, but man, they are on the profit margin, and maybe they have a bookkeeping tendency, or maybe they, the idea of opening day of the pizzeria is the thing that lights them up.
Yeah, and maybe the marketing. So all of them, after you build this doghouse, now you got to go market it. You got to
Mhm.
sell it. Maybe they shine in that. Maybe they're shy in that, and they'd rather be the hands-on. But we created Futurepreneur as a subscription kit
Yep.
because we know not every business is going to be your child's cup of tea.
Right.
But we're going to introduce them to all types of industries, and you are going to see where your kid shines. And the idea that we started this early, which they should kind of retire from Futurepreneur around maybe 13, 14, is now they should take what they've learned during our process, those year or 2 years that they're going through our business challenges. And they now take what they love and their passion is, and let's start doing something. Jamie, I don't know about you, but I wish in my early 20s, those 6.5 years that I spent in the cogwheel at the engineering firm, we called it the firm. They give me 110%, right?
Right.
And if you don't get paid well, right? So it was
Right.
46 hours a week minimum. But
Oh my God.
I spent 6, 7 years there, and I wish when I had no responsibility, my bills were super low. I could move back in with my mom if I needed to. I wish I would have started something huge then.
Yeah.
So why are we getting delayed? Because we go to college. The next step in the system is they teach you interviewing. You interview for a job. And again, I'm not knocking jobs. There is something to be said about checking out on Friday at 5 and not
Yep.
having to think about it till
Absolutely.
Monday morning.
Yep.
So if that's you, that's you. But if you find that you don't have passion in your life, you got to start something you've built. There is nothing more rewarding than seeing it come to fruition. And so why can't we show the kids when they're in their 18, 19, 20s, what are their passions? How can we get them an apprentice? How can we get them on that path where they can eventually own something from their mid 20s to their upper 20s, and they already have freedom and can build wealth at that age? So that's my soapbox, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm here.
No, 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 I love it because I think too, like, especially in this day and age, like, the number one thing kids wanna be when they grow up right now is a YouTuber. But,
Oh,
like,
no.
even showing them the process at the 6 to 12 age range, so that way you understand that there's always a give and take. There's always a shit sandwich to whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
So, maybe it's the hours of editing. I mean, look at now we have all these documentaries coming out about these family vloggers who, totally exploited their kids, and now we have that vision. It's like, oh yeah, that wasn't the happy thing we thought it was. So I think that's amazing. What other so you said the doghouse, the pizzeria, what other ones do you have?
Yeah, we have a t-shirt design business. So open your own t-shirt design company, which is super fun. We have dog walking or plant sitting, right? A good summer job is to just offer plant sitting in your neighborhood. We're just finishing open up your own wellness studio.
Oh,
So
cool.
this can be teaching how breathing. So it's basically learning physical, if you're good at soccer, you can become a soccer coach, right? But it's opening a physical class, yoga, breath work. We give a lot of examples. My daughter loves golf and she's really good at putting, so she can hold a little class for the friends in the neighborhood of putting. The parents pay $5
Oh, that's so
and she,
fun.
yeah, so it's most of a physical coaching or wellness business. So yeah, so we opened in January. We've got 6 complete. We have 6 in the works that are really fun coming. My goal now is I write the business plan and then I give it to basically an elementary ed teacher
Mhm.
or writer, and they put it in kid language for me. And then I have a graphics person and a videographer to come do that. But I'm now partnering with people in the industry. Now we had to get our base down, but now I'm partner with other companies in the industry to what do you do? How do we turn it into a fun kid product? So I'm looking at if there's any of you out there that own a business and you're like, gosh, my business would be really fun in a kid's kit, right? I'm happy to feature their company. I even thought like author, right? How cool
Authoring's good.
to
Hey,
just
man, let's get the kids started on potty training because I've always said if we could have a center where the 6-year-olds were potty training the 2 and 3-year-olds, we'd be
oh
all
my
set. Like they
gosh.
do so well when they learn from kids.
It was so much easier to potty train my youngest, right? Because I had 2 kids going
Yeah,
potty on
yeah,
the
yeah.
potty.
They
But
just listen better.
my first one, I probably waited way too long. But anyways, I just turned my sister-in-law onto you because she's got a baby. So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
But can we circle back to the dopamine? Because I think that's a really important. I've been talking a lot about that. I've been learning a lot about it.
Mhm.
Um, the fast dopamine that kids are getting as opposed to just, watching something come to fruition.
Mhm. Yeah. Our attention span, gosh, I just read a stat. In 2004, so 20 years ago, you needed about 2.5 minutes to keep our attention.
Mhm.
We'd give it 2.5 minutes before we decide whether we want to,
Yeah.
turn it off or not. It's down to 40 seconds in
Oh, in
20
40
years.
seconds? I'm impressed. I thought it
I
was
know, I'm
down to, like,
impressed
8.
too. I know. This was 2004. I feel like in a couple of years it's going to be down.
Yeah.
But something comes on and they decide in the first 40 seconds on whether they're going to like it or not. So this is an issue. This is an issue that that kids can't stay present
Yeah.
for long enough to just to make a decision. They're on to the next.
Yep.
And there's if you read the book by Cal Deep Work,
Newport.
yes,
Newport.
Cal
Yeah.
Newport, right?
Which one? I love him.
Deep Work, Deep Work.
Yeah, deep work.
Yeah.
I read, like, Distractions or whatever the distracted one was.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it changed my life
Yeah.
reading that deep work book
Yep.
because you have to get into deep work. You can't do a deep work you can't really dive into that creative flow in an
Mhm.
hour. So what are our kids going to do when they've grown up with cell phones? I've watched teenagers now, they can't have this device on the counter and they're on the couch, right?
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all know this. We know
Yeah.
this. So we crave it. So, and now we know. I'm grateful that my kids are young. I mean, you did unschooling, you've probably been turned on to this for a while, but most parent hasn't. They just have the iPad, put them in front of it, but we're in a consumption society. So they're just used to consuming instead of
Well, my
creating.
kid's kinda fucked because he's not personally because he just never was that kid, but, I just did a podcast about this. The iPad came out when he was little. We thought it was great. We didn't know. We
Oh,
didn't know that the
and
the
you're
ramifications weren't known yet. We were like, "This thing keeps him quiet for hours. This is great." Yeah, like, we
and
had
is he
no
addicted? Is
clue.
he totally addicted to it?
No, no, no. I mean, he's as the phone's always in his pocket, but he's very cautious now. Like, he specifically puts it down for, like, walks. Because we live in the woods, he's like, "No, I don't need my phone." He's, like, very cautious now, and we have, I'm a fan of this device called the Brick. So it's this small little block that you can put on your fridge. It's magnetized, and you just put your phone. You can do any combination of apps,
Okay.
and then you just put your phone up to it and it shuts down those apps. So, like, at night at 7 o'clock, I shut down Instagram. I shut down any Marco Polo, WhatsApp, Signal, because the voice texts from my friends are like 15 minutes now. So I
Yeah.
shut that down. I shut down group texts because that'll drain your brain. And so that when I wake up in the morning, if I do inadvertently, I try to go analog. I have an old alarm clock in my room. I have mini flashlight, so I don't need the flashlight. Um, and then I get up and I might check the weather on the computer. So I try to go analog. And he has a Brick too. So then he can shut off Snapchat or Instagram and all these things. Yeah, but
Is he good about it or
he's good about it, but he's also not on them like crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and he has always been the kind of kid that, like, if I offer, even when he was younger, if I said let's go play ball, he'd immediately just leave it. So he doesn't get like locked onto it.
yeah, and your phase, like the time of life you were in, you obviously you didn't know what the ramifications are for
Yeah,
iPad and social
but
media. But
well,
now
I
we know.
also we
Now
know,
we
and
know it causes depression, right? So we
yeah.
know anxiety and depression on our massive rise because people are tied to their cell phone and social media,
It's
right? And it's a
empty
double-edged sword.
consumption, it just leaves us empty, and I realized too, like, sometimes I was going on like, if I saw sort of an inflammatory reel, I'd be like, "I'm going to the comments with my popcorn." Like,
Yep,
I'm actively seeking out shit talking. Like, I
yep.
was actively like, "Oh, what are they gonna say about this post?" You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, I'd be really happy if the internet blew up tomorrow. Like, I think we need a reset.
We need a reset, and we're in uncharted territory because we really don't know. No one really knows. I mean, we know more now than we knew 5 years ago about it
Mhm.
and what it does to kids, but we don't really know, and I think COVID times hurt us.
It threw us over the edge. I think
Mhm.
we were teetering there, and then it threw us over the edge, and it
Mhm.
left us, and parents included. Like, it's just, I mean, we look at too, I know in my work, I struggle with parents who are so lonely because there's no village, and everybody, if you look at your screen time, I'm sure everybody's got like a shocking amount of screen time, but yet we have no time for this, no time for that. And so I do think for me, I've just noticed it's like, I call it, it's like eating a pound and a half of M&Ms in a sitting.
Mhm.
It's just junk,
Yeah.
it's just junk consumption. So,
Mm. I know,
yeah,
but
and
my kid started on YouTube, right? So, I mean, I'm grateful for the iPad when we travel, but I see him watching these YouTube videos and these YouTube shorts, and I'm like, "This is doing nothing for them. So now they know we get home from a trip, the iPads go in the closet. They didn't like it at
Yeah.
first, but now it's just regular thing. And it is an addiction because if you have a kid that's on their iPad every day, try this. Pull it away for 2 weeks. By day 3, they're not even asking for it. My
Yeah.
kids are up 6.5 hours playing Barbies on
Yep.
Sunday
Yeah.
and creating dream scenarios and going on vacation with their Barbies and throwing
Yep.
surprise parties, right? And so they're up there doing that, and that is what I want them to be doing. I don't want them sitting consuming for 4, 5, 6 hours a day. It's unhealthy, and we
And
know it now.
consuming, that was my pull in the last podcast to Minecraft because that's creation over consumption.
Yeah, yeah,
But
true.
I think Minecraft is the first time it came into our lives of watching another person playing, watching a streamer, watching other people play video games, watching people unwrap presents, and that's become its own genre, right? Of YouTube and all these apps. And so yeah, I don't know. I think our kids are in a lot of trouble, and it's hard because Jonathan hates doing his best, right? With Let Grow, they're trying really. He wrote The
Mhm,
Anxious Generation, and he's really trying
mhm,
to pull smartphones out of schools, which I think
mhm.
should be a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
Yeah, I was just
No-brainer.
telling my son in college now, one of the things they're looking for is the ability to read a book, like a whole book, like a
That
fiction book. Just read a book. Like
breaks my
kids
heart.
can't read a book. Yeah,
You know what I did recently? Because my kids, they're starting to watch me more and more at their age. I was having trouble sleeping. And of
yep,
course, what am I doing right before bed? Phone, scrolling, da da
yep.
da. And I was waking up in the middle of the night, with cortisol. And I'm like, I have never had a problem sleeping. Never.
Yeah.
So I just, I know the phone's not good. So now it's phone off and I'm reading a book. And now I'm super addicted to reading. And so I'm back into my book phase. And my kids are like, you're why are you reading so much? And I'm like, honey, and now I'm reading to them. And so I'm like, we got to get books back in hands. Have to.
Yeah.
Have
And did
to.
you notice too? I noticed that too because, I don't know, I was busy. I was homeschooling. I'm a single
Yeah.
mom, doing all
Yeah.
my things. And I got back into, I finally had some time to read. And I noticed drastically my attention span. I had to fight oh, I know, I did 75
Yes.
hard and you have to read 10 pages a day. And I noticed, oh my God, I was like, I get to page 3 and I'd be like, oh, I need to go check my phone or I need to, mm-hmm.
I told my husband this the other day. He's like, I don't know how you can read for so long. And I said, you have to build it up, right? He's like, I can read for 2 pages and then I want to go to sleep. And I'm like, you have to literally build your mind into start with a book you really want to know the subject.
Yeah.
Right. And so, or it's a really good story, but start with that book, but you have to build that up and then you're going to want, and then you seek more. And then I want more knowledge. And then it's a cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that parents can do is just keep books in their kids' hands and keep books in their own hands. And
Yeah. And tell your
it's
husband, I can't read before bed because I'm exhausted. So I too can't get through 2 pages. So
okay.
I always have to make room for reading. Like now I read with my coffee in the morning, so it could just be that
Yeah.
he's tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Sure.
it's crazy. The attention span is just, yeah, that's the best thing we can do is build it with our kids. But they can also get one of your programs and learn soup to nuts, a process, right?
Oh, it's so fun.
And
And this
so it's
fall,
subscription based. Yeah.
it's
So that's cool. So
subscription
like
based.
Tinkerbox, those kinds of things. Yep.
Yep. So you get a business in a box. And you can get I like to do 3 a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's our bundle, but you can do 1 a quarter, but it's going to take them 6 weeks. And the reason I like to do 3 a quarter is they're going to get 3 at one time, and then they can decide which one they're most excited about opening first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of gives you some time, or you get a bundle of 3 right before summer, and it's like we can try all 3 businesses during summer, but which one are you excited about first? So I like the bundle, but some people will just do singles. You can buy it singles. Someone really wants to design a t-shirt, you can just buy our, design a t-shirt. They really want to open a dog walking business, you can just buy that one. So we have the options on there. And then I
Yeah.
wanted to mention in the fall, and the reason I want to mention this is I think environment is so important, right? If you have a mom that's an entrepreneur or a dad that's an entrepreneur, kind of thrown in that environment. But I wanted to bridge that gap. So parents that maybe they're not entrepreneurs, but they want that life for their kids and they're
Mm-hmm.
not sure where to start. So we want to bridge that gap of kids that don't have someone to mentor or look at them. That's why that was another reason that we created this. And environment is so important. In the fall, we're going to do our first Futurepreneur kids event.
Okay.
So think Tony Robbins style and
Oh,
think
fun.
young entrepreneurs. So it'll be fun, engaging young entrepreneurs on the stage talking about what they did at 16, 17, 18 years old. And so we're going to have paid speakers come in to really inspire these kids. And we'll open it up to probably about 16 years old at that point.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, we've got a lot coming. So just, follow us
That's
and
super cool. And again, I just want to reiterate, like so one of the things about homeschooling is you have so much time with your kid. I always tell people you'll start to hear things differently. Like you hear things that pique their interest in a different way. And once you're in school, and again, I have nothing against school, it's that like you're doing all your stuff. Like it's hard to find the passion. And you might know I have a theater kid or, oh, I have a sports kid. You might know those things, but you kind of get stuck on this treadmill. And so the idea, like, imagine being like 13 years old and having completed a couple of your programs, right? And knowing like, you know what? Like I don't want to be front of the house. I don't want to build a doghouse. I don't want to make the pizzas, but I want to sit and I want to do the books or you know what I mean? Like I feel like what a heads up to know your what really makes you shine. And you talk about your niece. My niece was the same way. She loved at somewhere she was what do I want to say? Floating ambitionless in high school. And I think in 11th grade, she took a graphic design class and this kid lit the
mm,
fuck up. Like, I mean, she was like, Auntie, look at this calendar I made. Like I saw a life in her that I had never seen before. And I was like, dude, you need to this is your thing. This is your
uh,
thing. And I told my brother and he was like, no, like she can't go to school for that. There's no, then she'll have to open her own business. And I was like, exactly. Like then she'll, and they made her go to college. They made her take a typical class. I think at the time though, graphic design maybe was like a specialty school and
mhm,
she failed. She's now, she tried for 2 years. Now she got $12,000 worth of debt. She ended up not doing her passion. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why aren't we fostering that, like to learn that about yourself so early? I didn't have that as in 11th grade,
yeah.
to learn that about yourself and then be able to take the appropriate, even if you choose to go to college, you at least take the appropriate classes.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. My niece is exactly that. She is so talented creatively. She is so talented, and I'm like, I know she's got a business in her that can just pull out those areas that she shines and that she's passionate about and she's so good at. And
Yep.
taking psychology 101 is not for her. Right?
That was my
She's
niece.
not
What is
interested in
that?
that.
What is that, just the default class? Because that was my
It
niece.
was.
And I was like, "Why are you taking psychology? Do you want to be a therapist?" She was like, "No." I was like, "There's not like I guess I mean everybody can use psychology, but like again in this climate where it's so expensive, you know?" Oh, okay.
I
So this
agree.
conversation has been amazing. Why don't you tell people where they can find you and yeah,
Well, I
what
have a
else
gift
is
for your audience, if
you
that's okay.
do? We
Yeah.
love gifts.
So if you go to teachyourkidstodream.com, so teach your kids to dream, and you have a free download, we walk them through the process of creating. So visualizing, building
Oh,
confidence
fun.
through conversation cards and lunchbox notes, right? So build confidence for them. And then finally our last step is kind of putting that vision into action. So it's totally free. It's 4 or 5 tools for parents to get their kids to start creating. And we know that's the first step and we wanted to give that away for free. So if you go on that, you'll be connected with us. You can also follow us on social media. Follow me personally, probably Crystal Popoff with a K. So Krystal and Popoff, like Jamie and I were talking about, like the cheap vodka. Popoff.
And you know what? I forgot to. I wanted to, and when we were talking about grit and expertise and the kids not being
Yeah.
entitled, you guys, I know that this can sound like, oh my God, like I need another fucking thing on my plate. Like my kid needs to open a pizzeria restaurant. Like I don't have time. One of
Mhm.
the things in this week that's happened is we've been talking on Instagram a lot about connection, and parents think that connection has to come from like, I'm going to sit and like play Legos with my kid. This is a great way to connect with your kids. This is a great way. Like if you guys are building a tiny business that you're only inviting neighbors and grandma and grandpa to, it's still super fun. And it's a way to connect with your kids in a true sense of where they're learning and there's so much engagement. And this is how you do it, not like, oh, that's schooling, that's education, that's business, that's not connecting with them. Like if my mom had said, let's open a pizzeria restaurant for a day, I would have been like, yes, you're my best friend ever.
And then you're so proud of them at the end and they feel it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better.
Right on, Krystal. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Jamie. It was an honor to be on your podcast and I appreciate you.
Awesome. All right, you guys, as always, rock on. I appreciate you. Have a beautiful day.
Okay, bye everyone. Just a reminder, if you need additional resources, I have Oh Crap Potty Training. I have Oh Crap, I Have a Toddler. Those books are available everywhere you want to find a book. You can also go to my website, jamieglowacki.com, where you can book private sessions with me, buy any of my courses. Those are really geared towards potty training help. And also, I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook anymore, and I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, jamie.glowacki, and I do a lot of lives and usually posting a lot of good information. So those are extra resources for you. And as always, rock on. Have an awesome day.